Overview. You have learnt about two kinds of verbals earlier in this unit. In this lesson, you will learn about the use of the gerund, the third kind of verbal. A verb in present tense form can be made to act as a noun by adding ing to it. This kind of noun-like verb is called a gerund. Since a verb basically denotes action, a gerund is defined as a noun of action. Let's look at some examples of gerunds. Planning for things well in advance has always been my strength. You may remember a noun is the name of a thing, place, person, or animal. The way the word planning has been used in this sentence, we can say it is like a noun. How? Take a look at this. If we were to take the word planning away, the sentence would look like this. Blank for things well in advance has always been my strength. Now, if I were to say this sentence to you, you would probably ask, what for the things well in advance has always been your strength? The word what refers to a thing. Therefore, the word that would replace the word in my answer would take the form of a thing. So, the word planning could be used. Now, doesn't that make the word planning act as a noun? Here is another sentence. Playing cricket is my favorite pastime. What is my favorite pastime? Playing. I have a good feeling. I have a what? Feeling. Let us now form some gerunds from words in the present tense. We get praying from pray. We get acting from act. We get feeling from feel. We get eating from eat. And we get studying from study. How do we use gerunds in sentences? Remember, a gerund, like a noun, can be used in a sentence either before or after the verb. Pay attention to the noun character of gerunds. Something to think about. We will now look at one sentence together. Pay attention to the thought process that goes on while we try to understand the noun-like characteristic of the gerund in the sentence. Later, you will need to practice these same thought processes with other sentences. Observing nature is Amar's favorite hobby. What is the gerund in this sentence? Yes, it is observing. How did we know that? Because we asked ourselves, what is Amar's favorite hobby? And we came up with the answer, observing. Now read the following sentences carefully. While you are reading the sentences, take a minute to ask yourself what word you would use if you were to ask a question with the word what, like we did just now. You will soon be able to identify the gerunds based on their noun-like quality. Studying continuously without a break can be bad for concentration. Smoking is injurious to health. Eating too much can make you obese. Studying was the gerund in the first sentence. Smoking was the gerund in the second sentence. Eating was the gerund in the third sentence. Let us look at more sentences. Her life's passion has been singing. His talent lies in acting. Praying for at least a few minutes every day gives me peace of mind. Think of the gerunds in these sentences. Let's check to see what you have done. In the fourth sentence, we saw singing as the gerund. Acting is the gerund in the fifth sentence. And the word praying is the gerund in the sixth sentence. At this time, try to recollect what you had learned about the other verbal, which was the infinitive. You will find that in sentences where gerunds are used either as the subject or object, they can be replaced by infinitives. Let us attempt this with a few of the sentences we saw earlier. Studying continuously without a break can be bad for concentration. The word studying is a gerund in this sentence. We can now insert an infinitive to keep the meaning of the sentence the same. To study continuously without a break can be bad for concentration. The gerund in the first sentence was studying. The infinitive in the second sentence was to study. Smoking is injurious to health. To smoke is injurious to health. Here, the gerund smoking has been replaced by the infinitive to smoke. Her life's passion has been singing. Her life's passion has been to sing. Singing was the gerund, while to sing was the infinitive. I love receiving telephone calls. I love to receive telephone calls. Gerunds can also come in the middle of a sentence. Let us look at some examples. Continuous studying without a break can be bad for concentration. Wildlife watching is Amar's favorite hobby. She must practice reading every day. Begin watching the news in English on television every day. The baby's crying continued all night. I love receiving telephone calls. When a gerund comes in the middle of a sentence, it might look like a verb and thus may appear very confusing to us. It is therefore important to recognize a gerund. Since a gerund is not a verb, and there are verbs in the continuous tense also ending with ing, we need to remember the rule that an auxiliary will always come before a verb in continuous tense. Gerund with a force. In gerund usage, it may sometimes become necessary to make the gerund forceful with the help of a word that comes just before it. This word helps us emphasize the gerund. Let us understand what we mean by looking at some examples. Father doesn't like your smoking. In this sentence, the word your helps us stress the importance of the gerund smoking. Now you will get a chance to practice what you have just learned. Read the following sentences carefully. Identify the gerunds in the sentences. Pay attention to how they are emphasized with the word just before them, thus making them gerunds with a force. My praying doesn't disturb the household. The director liked her acting in the play. His watching wildlife as a hobby has inspired youngsters. In these examples, you will observe that a possessive pronoun has been used before the gerund. My was used before praying. Her was used before acting. His was used before watching. Sita insisted on singing the prayer song. I feel very heavy after eating lunch at the wedding reception. You can concentrate better without studying continuously. In these examples, a preposition has been used before the gerund. On was used before singing. The preposition after was used before eating. And the preposition without was used before studying. Please note, in the given examples, the gerund looks like a second verb. However, it still remains a gerund because it retains the basic characteristic of a noun, which is that it can be used as a subject or object. The rule, therefore, is that in order to make a gerund forceful and at the same time let it remain a gerund, a possessive pronoun or a preposition as applicable in the context of the sentence should be used before the gerund. Other aspects of a gerund. There are other aspects of a gerund that we must be aware of. We will now look at these aspects. Gerunds are also used after certain verbs which appear first in a sentence. Some of these verbs are dislike, deny, enjoy, remember, etc. Let us look at some sentences based on this. I dislike eating at restaurants. I enjoy watching movies in the theater. Note how dislike and enjoy are verbs. Therefore, the words eating and watching are the gerunds. Only gerunds can be used with certain phrasal verbs, such as look forward to and give up. Let us understand this use from the following examples. We look forward to dining at the new restaurant. I cannot give up my habit of spending extravagantly. In these sentences, the phrasal verbs look forward to and give up determine the usage of the gerunds dining and spending respectively. You will now listen to a sample conversation. Although you have this sample conversation in your reference reading material, it is important that you pay attention to the screen first. Think carefully about how gerunds have been used in this conversation based on what you have learned in this lesson.
Mona, have you noticed that our working with the new boss has really changed things in this office? Everyone is so much more enthusiastic about their job.
I agree with you. Our achieving set targets seems so easy to accomplish now. No wonder we have more time for relaxing.
The other day, I had the opportunity of working with him on summarizing a rather complicated report, and he gave us some really good ideas. Inspiring others comes naturally to him.
This morning he talked with me and asked us to work on preparing a business strategy for increasing our market share in profits.
That is indeed a wonderful way of solving the company's financial situation. Our getting involved in this endeavor wholeheartedly is very important.
Yes, for a start, we need to work on analyzing our strengths and our weaknesses.
Why don't we get on with the job of assembling our team members so we can begin working?
Let's do that. In this lesson, you learned about gerunds and how they are used. You will need to remember the following important points. A gerund is basically a verb that is in the present tense form which may be used as a noun in a sentence by adding an ing to it. Sometimes gerunds can be replaced by an infinitive. Gerunds can come in the beginning, middle, or end of sentences. Some gerunds can sound forceful by emphasizing a specific point because of the words that precede the gerund. Gerund with a force. Gerunds usually follow specific verbs like dislike, deny, enjoy, and remember. Only gerunds can be used with certain phrasal verbs. For example, look forward to, give up. You may now use this time to read the reference reading material that goes with this lesson. Thank you.